into your home.
A warm welcome to Luntha TV News. I'm Kathy Matura, coming to you live from the Bishop Navy Media Center here in Lilongwe, where we continue to bring you stories that inform, inspire, and strengthen our shaped hope. In a world grappling with conflict, calls for justice, and the pursuit for a better future, tonight we bring you stories that matter, from Pope Leo XIV's appeal for stronger global solidarity and food security to regional efforts to combat corruption, developments in Malawi's infrastructure, education, and sports, as well as the latest updates from across Africa. First, the headlines. Pope Leo XIV urges global cooperation to put human needs above political interests. SADC countries challenged on joint action as illicit financial flows drain development resources. Minister of Defense pushes for black boxes on military aircraft. In regional news, Democratic Republic of Congo reports over 1,000 Ebola cases, including 254 deaths. Now the news in detail. We start with news from the Vatican, where Pope Leo XIV has called on the international community to strengthen multilateral cooperation, warning that food, water, and healthcare must never be subordinated to geopolitical interests. As he said, conflicts are increasingly fed more readily than people are nourished. During a visit to the United Nations World Food Programme headquarters in Rome on Monday, the Holy Father addressed the agency's executive board, reflecting on the global hunger crisis and its structural causes. We have a Vatican News report read by Cherry Chilanga.
Pope Leo XIV said that the international community shares the urgent responsibility of confronting hunger and malnutrition while addressing their root causes, urging a search for lasting solutions. He thanked the World Food Programme for its work in saving lives during emergencies and providing food assistance in conflict and disaster zones, noting that its mission reflects the Church's commitment to human dignity and fraternity. The Pope observed that today's crises are no longer isolated but persistent, marked by prolonged conflict, food insecurity, economic instability, and climate vulnerability. He warned of an increasingly fragmented international order where states often prioritize national interests over multilateral cooperation, creating a paradox of global abundance alongside widening vulnerability. Pope Leo lamented that humanitarian aid is often slowed by bureaucracy, while access to basic needs is shaped by economic and strategic considerations, leaving many of the vulnerable invincible. He said this leads to a serious ethical imbalance in which conflicts are fed more readily than people are nourished, and the human person is no longer placed at the center of international action. The Holy Father stressed that hunger undermines social stability, fuels conflict, and drives migration, calling humanitarian action essential to global security. He described the World Food Programme as a concrete expression of international solidarity that helps prevent crises from collapsing further, especially where local structures are weak. Pope Leo called for renewed commitment to multilateral cooperation, urging governments to increase support for hunger relief, remove barriers to aid, and strengthen collaboration with the Church and the civil society. He also highlighted the importance of reducing bureaucracy so that aid reaches those in need more effectively, especially through trusted local partners. The Pope noted the Catholic Church's extensive humanitarian presence through parishes, dioceses, and Caritas networks, often reaching vulnerable communities in difficult contexts. He praised the World Food Programme's work beyond emergency relief, including long-term initiatives such as school feeding programs, describing food security as part of global security. Concluding, Pope Leo warned that what is at stake is not only the effectiveness of institutions, but the credibility of international cooperation itself, urging simplicity, solidarity, and focus on the most vulnerable.
Southern African countries have been urged to strengthen cross-border cooperation to stem illicit financial flows in cybercrime, with experts warning that billions of dollars continue to leave the continent annually, undermining development efforts. Speaking at the opening of a 3-day SADC Head of Anti-Corruption Agencies Conference being held in Lilongwe, United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime UNODC team lead Francesco Cecchi noted that transnational financial crimes remain a major obstacle to economic growth and sustainable development across the region. Tandiwe Mzumara has filed this report.
Cecchi told delegates that an estimated $100 billion is stolen from Africa every year, largely through corruption and tax evasion. He explained that these illicit funds are often moved into tax havens and weakly regulated jurisdictions, making them difficult to trace and recover.
Well, there are conservative estimates that put the figure at $100 billion being stolen from the continent every year. Of course, this includes tax dodgings from corporations, not only corruption, but corruption is a big chunk of it. And these illicit financial flows end up throughout the world.
SCB Director General and Chairperson of the SADC Anti-Corruption Subcommittee, Gabriel Shembezi, raised concern on threats and pressure faced by heads of anti-corruption agencies, often targeted by what he called corruption pushback from political and criminal syndicates. Shembezi warned that leaders of anti-corruption bodies typically have long-established reputations for integrity, which can be systematically attacked when they pursue powerful interests.
What we are trying to do at ACB is to change the way we do things. It's not business as usual as it used to be, but business unusual, where we have to investigate cases and conclude them as quickly as possible. So we've put measures according to the complexity and the funding challenges. But now I've brought in systems where there are particular cases. We streamline cases to say this case we should start and finish it in 3 months, this one in 6 months, this one in 9 months, according to the complexity. Now this is something new that we are trying to bring at ACB, because the problem with delayed investigation, delayed prosecution is that it's difficult to pursue the cases. We might end up losing the evidence. In fact, we might end up losing the witnesses. Some witnesses might die, some witnesses might tend to lose interest. So quick disposal of cases through investigation and prosecution is the way to go right now.
While digital tools are being used to launder money and move illicit funds, Malawi is responding by rolling out an e-procurement system positioned as part of a broader strategy to modernize government systems, increase efficiency, and close loopholes long exploited in manual procurement processes.
I think the major challenges are in the fight against corruption are the new technologies that have been introduced. While the new technologies offer opportunities for improving our lives, they are also bringing in easier ways of conducting bad things, illegal things. For example, the illicit flows of money out of Malawi.
Mhango has also assured that those fighting corruption in Malawi will not be harassed or ill-treated. The SADC conference, which is being hosted by Malawi, has attracted 14 SADC countries, which include South Africa, Tanzania, Zambia, Zimbabwe, Eswatini, Lesotho, Botswana, and Seychelles. For Luntha News, this is Tandiwe Mzumara.
Residents of Mkindanguo village and GM properties are at odds over the enforcement of a court-issued possession order, with villagers insisting that they should not be relocated before receiving compensation, while the company maintains that the land legally belongs to it following a High Court ruling. Concerned citizen of Mkindanguo, Alton Chikaoneka, made the remarks during a community meeting held at Mkindanguo village under traditional authority Chitukula in Lilongwe, where chiefs and residents gathered to discuss their concerns over the ongoing land dispute with GM properties. More in our report filed by our Gift Kalonga.
Chikaoneka said residents are worried about the possibility of being relocated before receiving compensation, stressing that they are willing to move only after the necessary procedures have been followed. He noted that many families depend on the area for their livelihoods and would face difficulties if forced to leave without adequate support. He also expressed concern over missing court records related to the case, saying the development has raised questions among community members. According to Chikaoneka, the prolonged uncertainty surrounding the dispute has hindered development in the area, with many residents reluctant to invest in long-term projects while awaiting a resolution.
I'm very much concerned with such type of sad news. I can say this is sad news to us because we are not expected to leave this campus without compensation.
On his part, lawyer for GM Properties, Jefferson Lua, maintained that the land legally belongs to the company following a court ruling, and that the order of possession is intended to enforce that decision. He said the enforcement exercise specifically targets individuals in Mkindanguo village who were compensated when the land was acquired, and emphasized that the sheriffs are carrying out a lawful court order.
It should be noted that there's a decision of the High Court, delivered on 8 November 2024, which decision says the land belongs to GM Properties. So as I'm speaking to you now, the land in question is private land. You may wish also to know that GM Properties got a lease from the government of Malawi. The government of Malawi had acquired that land from, I would say, the people who were there then. So when the land was acquired from those people, it changed the status from the status that it had to public land.
However, lawyer for the villagers, Oscar Taulo, argued that the possession order obtained by GM Properties is inconsistent with the court's judgment, maintaining that affected residents should not be required to vacate the land before outstanding compensation issues are addressed.
They might try, the claimant might try to say that we are trying to stop what activities that are going on the premises. But look, this is a possession order. It's not an injunction or prohibit an injunction. The best way would have been maybe seeking an intervention of the court, seeking certain activities by way of prohibition. But as it is done, the possession mean to say that they have to, the defendants have to vacate the premises without being compensated, which is unfair, and it's against the very judgment which was delivered in the court.
Meanwhile, the GM Properties and the sheriffs, with the court order, have given Nkwindanguo residents 30 days to evacuate the area, but the residents have vowed that they will not leave the area unless their compensation is given per court's decision. For Luntha News in Lilongwe, this is Gift Kalonga.
Government says rehabilitation works on Chiweta-Karonga section of the M1 road are expected to start after a procurement process that is likely to be completed within 60 days. Speaking in an interview with Luntha Television, Roads Authority spokesperson Laurent Kumchenga said the authority has already completed all the necessary designs for the project and issued an international tender for the rehabilitation works. Here is Constance Kamtemeni with the details.
Chinga said the Chiweta-Karonga road is one of the country's most important roads, but has remained in a poor condition, mainly due to inadequate funding over the years. He also said government has secured funding for the project and that the Roads Authority is currently finalizing the procurement process to identify contractors, with rehabilitation works expected to begin soon after and be completed within 24 months.
The Chiweta-Karonga road is a very critical road, and it's currently indeed in a very bad shape. Mostly this has been due to non-remittance of fuel levies. So the fuel levies account for over 85% of the funds that are used for rehabilitation of roads. Otherwise, what is going to happen now is major rehabilitation of this road, and all designs to this effect have already been done. And on 17th of June, the Roads Authority issued an international tender for the rehabilitation of this road.
Meanwhile, Human Rights Defenders Coalition chairperson Michael Kayatsa says the organization will go ahead with its planned demonstrations, arguing that similar promises have been made before without visible progress on the ground.
No, we'll continue with our plans to hold the demonstrations until we see something concrete regarding the rehabilitation of the road. We have taken that position because this is not the first time that we've been told that the works will start, but up to now really nothing has happened. Therefore, for us, we will continue with the plans until we see something that we can point at that the work has begun.
HRDC is planning to hold demonstrations in the northern region on July 1, 2026 to pressure government to rehabilitate the Chiweta-Karonga section of the M1 road. For Luntha News, this is Constance Kamtemi.
The Competition and Fair Trading Commission, CFTC, has warned traders across Malawi against selling expired and substandard products, saying offenders risk heavy monetary penalties based on their annual turnover and possible closure of their businesses. CFTC spokesperson Innocent Helema made the remarks as the Commission continues conducting market inspections aimed at protecting consumers from unsafe products. Emmanuel Chiwocha filed this report.
Speaking in an interview with Luntha Television, Helema said the inspections are intended to ensure that consumers purchase and consume products that do not pose health risk. He added that the Commission discovered a total of 649 expired and uncertified items during the inspection. The products include biscuits, packet of noodles, energy drinks, and other consumer goods.
During inspections that we conducted this week, starting from Tuesday, we found 14 shops selling expired and, of course, uncertified products. These inspections were conducted in Mangochi, Machinga, Zomba, Mzimba, Mzuzu, and, of course, Kasungu. During the inspections, we found a total of 649 items that were expired.
The inspection exercise, which began last week, has covered the district of Mangochi, Machinga, Zomba, Mzimba, Mzuzu, and Kasungu. The exercise resided in 14 local shops being found stocking and selling expired products. The Commission says it will continue to conduct market inspection to ensure that all traders comply with the Malawi consumer safety standards and protect the public from unsafe products. For Luntha News in Lilongwe, this is Emmanuel Chiwocha.
You're watching News Live on Luntha TV. We'll be back after this commercial break.
Ajibanja Montfort Missionaries kuno ku Malawi akuyitana Khristu ndi anthu onse kumwambo okondwerera kuti chipanichi chatha zaka 125. Inde tikuti zaka 125 chifikira na asembe a Montfort Missionaries kuno ku Malawi. Tsiku ndipo 1 August 2026. Malo ndi Balaka Parish, nthawi ndi 9 o'clock mmawa.
Wandisaka ambuye wanga.
Ndipo pasikuli kuli zikondwerero izi mwambozo za brother Felix Nimanya omwe akutumikira ku Balaka Parish kukhala deacon, Father Louis Nkukumira kuti akwanitsa zaka 25 za unsembe, ndi Father Felix Piri kuti akwanitsa zaka 25 za moyo wawo wa chipani, ndinso kukondwera zaka 25 za kukhazikisidwa kwa delegation ya ansembe a Montfort Missionaries ya African Anglophone General Delegation yomwe idayamba mu chaka cha 2001. Tiyeni tonse tikapezeke kumwambowu.
Welcome back. In case you're just joining us, you are watching Luntha TV News live from the Bishop Nevi Media Center. Before we proceed, here is a recap of the top stories making the headlines. Pope Leo XIV urges global cooperation to put human needs above political interests. SADC countries challenged on joint action as illicit financial flows drain development resources. Minister of Defense pushes for black boxes on military aircraft. In regional news, Democratic Republic of Congo reports over 1,000 Ebola cases, including 254 deaths. Moving on, Minister of Defense Dr. Feston Kawupa says government is exploring the installation of black boxes on Malawi Defense Forces aircraft as part of efforts to strengthen aviation safety and improve future air crash investigations. Speaking on Monday after appearing before Parliament's ad hoc committee investigating the plane crash that killed former Vice President Dr. Saulos Klaus Chilima, and 8 others. Kaupa said lessons from the tragedy have highlighted the need to modernize aviation equipment and enhance safety systems within the Malawi Air Force. Constance Kamtemeni filed this report.
Kauba said most Air Force aircraft are aging and require refurbishment, maintenance, and technological upgrades to improve operation efficiency and safety. He further said the Minister of Defense is engaging the Minister of Finance and Treasury on reforms aimed at improving funding for Malawi Defense Force service units to ensure critical equipment and aircraft are adequately maintained.
I mentioned that indeed upon taking up office as Minister of Defense, I went around to inspect and appreciate the cantonments and the establishments of the Malawi Defense Force, the Malawi Air Force, the Navy, the Army, and the Malawi National Service. And I noted that specifically the Malawi Air Force equipment most of it is very aged. We need to replace some.
The parliamentary inquiry into the plane crash that claimed the lives of Dr. Chilima and 8 others is continuing, with various witnesses appearing before the committee. For Luntha News, this is Constance Kamtemeni.
In the world of sports, FCB Nyasa Big Bullets have bounced back to winning ways after securing a hard-fought 2-1 victory over Kamuzu Barracks FC at Sivo Stadium in an exciting FDH Bank Premiership encounter. Speaking during post-match interviews, FCB Nyasa Big Bullets head coach Wenson Nyirenda commended his players for their determination, discipline and fighting spirit, which helped the team claim all 3 points. Our Patrick Popa has for this report.
Appointed FCB Nyasa Big Bullets head coach Wenson Nyirenda has begun his tenure on a positive note, guiding to an important victory in his first assignment in charge of the team. FCB Nyasa Big Bullets opened the scoring in the first half through Ephraim Kondowe, who calmly found the back of the net to give Bullets a deserved lead heading into the break. Kamuzu Barracks FC responded strongly after the restart and managed to level the scores through Orson Kanjira. However, defensive miscommunication proved costly for Kamuzu Barracks FC later in the match after a back pass from Hope Namadzunda was not properly dealt by the goalkeeper, allowing FCB Nyasa Big Bullets to capitalize on the mistake and restore their lead.
Yeah, I think it was a game of 2 halves. We were wrapping up the game in the first 20 minutes in the first half. We missed a lot of chances. I think we missed about 6 chances in the first 20 minutes. In the first 1 minute, we missed 2. And I think that is something that we need to work on. Because we're playing a team like Kamuzu. They didn't have anything to offer in the first half. But after they see that we are missing, then they came on us. So you can always get punished in a game of football if you are not going to take your chances.
The win provides a significant boost for FCB Nyasa Big Bullets as they continue the guaranteed fight under new leadership. Elsewhere in the FD Bank Premiership, Blue Eagles FC remain at the top of the table with the 16 points after 7 rounds of matches. Mighty Wanderers FC and Silver Strikers FC occupy 2nd and 3rd position respectively, both on 14 points. Meanwhile, Lake Sporting Club have registered their first victory of the season after defeating Masters FC under the new reappointed head coach Ernest Mtawari. For Luntha News, this is Patrick Pooper.
In news from the Great Lakes region, confirmed cases in the Ebola outbreak in eastern DR Congo have reached 1,003, including 254 deaths, as tracing those who have been in contact with patients remains a major challenge. Officials said in a statement late Sunday that a total of 100 people have recovered in the outbreak concentrated in the Ituri province since it was declared on May 15. At least 365 patients are in hospital or in isolation. Cherit Chilanga with an African News report.
The Ebola outbreak caused by the rare Bundibugyo virus, which has no vaccines or treatment, was the worst ever in its first month. Officials admit there could be far more cases they still don't know about, and that the peak of the outbreak is still ahead. The Health Ministry said contact tracing remains a key issue for local authorities, who have only achieved a 55% coverage rate. Officials are yet to identify the outbreak's patient cell and still need to trace more than 35,000 people who have come in contact with infected individuals as of last week. That's partly because Eastern Congo is also battling ongoing violence from rebels. In Turi, attacks by the Islamic State group-backed Allied Democratic Forces have cut off access to many villages and forced people to flee their homes, including those sheltering in overcrowded camps and others constantly on the move. More than a month into the outbreak, officials believe the disease continues to outpace response efforts, and no one knows its true scale. Health workers also face attacks from some communities angry about the public health measures imposed to try to limit the spread of the virus. Early in the outbreak, a hospital in Rampala was set on fire by protesters who had wanted to recover the bodies of relatives who died of Ebola in order to bury them. When they were denied, they set the building alight.
I now hand you over to Cherit Mapondo to give us the weather update.
A lovely evening to you all. It's time for weather update. Mzuzu recorded the lowest minimum temperature of about 7 degrees Celsius, while Chidedze, Mast, Kia and Mzimba recorded about 9 degrees Celsius. Lusungwi recorded 10 degrees Celsius. We should expect occasionally windy and cold to very cold conditions to persist tonight and during early in the morning. Partly cloudy conditions are also anticipated during the day. Expect moderate mwela winds to persist blowing over Lake Malawi and other water bodies. Therefore, all users are advised to exercise caution. All these conditions are due to the influence of fairly moist southeasterlies from the Indian Ocean getting into our country. As for tonight, expect clear skies across most parts of the country, but tomorrow morning, very cold conditions are also anticipated over some areas. Mzuzu, Kasungu and Lilongwe are expected to reach a minimum temperature of about 9 degrees Celsius. 11 over Blantyre, while Ngabo will reach about 16 degrees Celsius. Later in the morning, some clouds will develop over some few areas such as Ngabo, Mulanje as well as Zomba. But in the afternoon, mild to warm conditions are expected over the country. Mzuzu will reach a maximum temperature of about 21 degrees Celsius, 26 over Kasungu, 23 over Lilongwe, while Blantyre will reach about 24 degrees Celsius. Later in the afternoon, occasionally windy and partly cloudy conditions with a chance of isolated rain showers are expected over Ngabo and Chikwawa, but occasionally windy and partly cloudy conditions are expected over the central as well as northern parts of the country. On Wednesday, expect occasionally windy and partly cloudy conditions to persist over most parts of the country. Thanks for watching. I'm Charity Mapondo. Be wise, be weather-wise.
Cherit with the weather update marking the end of this bulletin. But before I sign out, here's a recap of the news making the headlines. Pope Leo XIV urges global cooperation to put human needs above political interests. SADC countries challenged on joint action as illicit financial flows drain development resources. Minister of Defense pushes for black boxes on military aircraft. In regional news, Democratic Republic of Congo reports over 1,000 Ebola cases, including 254 deaths. Thank you for making Luntha TV part of your evening and for allowing us into your homes as we continue to share stories of faith, resilience, and hope. I'm Kathy Matura. May God's grace be upon you. May peace dwell in our nation, and may tomorrow bring renewed strength and brighter possibilities. Goodbye and God bless Malawi.